Peace, everyone. My name is Christina. Thank you so much for joining me here in this moment. So, I know I've been gone, it's been a minute, and there's been so many transitions happening in my life, so many transformations that have been going on. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but October was definitely a month of great transformation. I was learning so many different things about myself, about my relationships, how I'm navigating my relationships, how I'm navigating my relationship with myself, and like really coming into that balance within myself. And so that leads me to this video, this topic of letting go. So, over the course of this year, I've acquired so much knowledge, so much wisdom, and it seems as the fall starts to roll around. This is the season where I'm typically fasting more, where I'm really releasing so that come November, December, January, I'm now open and receptive to new ideas, new beginnings, and things of that nature. So, yeah, letting go is so important. It is so vital for us to be in a space where we are able to reassess our life and process our life. I just went through a um, huge time where I was able to just sit and process my entire life experience, process my childhood, things that happened to me in my childhood, and really gain that clarity for me and that experience. And also process my early adulthood and process some of the things, some of the experiences that I had at the beginning of this year up until October. So I had all of October to really just process my experiences, to gain that clarity, to gain that understanding, overstanding of those experiences, what they meant in regard to my spiritual development. I've come to the conclusion that I am just a spirit who has come in to gain this wisdom and to develop my character, as well as to just get the spiritual development. And so in me processing, I was able to like look at situations from a third person perspective, because I realized I'm no longer in this situation. So there's no point of me being upset or wishing, having that wishful thinking type of mindset, but being able to look at it from a third person perspective, non-biased, and really look at what the meaning of that situation, what did I learn from that situation, what did I take away from that situation, and how can I navigate, take all of the great things that I learned, all of the lessons that I learned, and be able to utilize that so that I can move forward, so that I can have better relationships, so that I can move in a way that's more conducive to my overall growth. And so I feel that in order to let go, you really have to process your experiences. And sometimes, depending on what you do in this life and this dream, you might be a person that's always on the go. You might be a person that's always on the go, always moving, going from one thing to the next. Or you could be a person who is just chilling, but maybe your mind is moving a lot. Or maybe you're just so focused on the external things that you don't really take the time to process your experiences. And I know for me, this entire year, I have not had a traditional job or employment. And so even though I've had this immense amount of time where I could have been processing my experiences, I was so focused on being present that if certain experiences were coming up, I would be like, that was in the past, that was in the past, so I really wasn't giving myself the time and the opportunity to process things, because as soon as I processed them, they were no longer coming up for me. So that goes into a whole other thing. If you take the time to process maybe some things that happened to you in your childhood, or some things that happened to you in your adulthood, or whenever they happen, if you take the time to process events and experiences that you've had in your life, typically they go away, especially when you come to a point where you're gaining that clarity and understanding. So this helps if you suffer from like negative thoughts or anything like that, to be able to transmute them into something that is lighter. So yeah, as I was saying, in regards to letting go, it's very vital that you process, you take the time to, set aside some time to be able to sit and just meditate and process the experiences that you have had over the course of your life, so that you can gain that clarity. And what I mean by this, by just sitting and taking the time, I don't mean because sometimes, like I said, we could not be doing anything. We could be chilling, but other things are occupying our what's the word? Other things are occupying our attention. We're giving other things our attention. So in this practice, I want you to like really focus and hone in on how you're feeling. Really go into your body, be inside of your body. So maybe do some breath work before you start processing. But once you come into your body, start to really process whatever has been on your mind, whatever keeps coming up that just wants you to like take a look at it. I want you to go ahead and just process it and just run through it, but make sure that you're not falling into that space of where you were. Like really look at it from that third person point of view that's non-biased, and so I want you to process it and see what comes up, what feelings are arising, where your thoughts lead you. Because I know for me, I was a person who I have a Gemini moon and a Gemini rising, and I just have so many Gemini placements in my natal chart. So I already have the tendency to overthink if I'm not balanced. And so because I had that tendency, or could possibly have that tendency for so long, if a thought would arise, I'm like, nope, focus on the present. And I really wasn't allowing myself to use my mental capabilities and just letting my mind just go off and process things, because I'm constantly processing just everything in my environment. So it's important to, if any feelings are coming up, to just observe them, be the observer. If any thoughts are coming up, be the observer, and like really look at that situation and see what lesson you learned in that situation. Because like I said, I feel that, or rather I know that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So we're going through all of these things to really develop and cultivate our spirits, like we're on this ascension journey. So yeah, so once you process, you gain your clarity, you gain your understanding over the experiences, and now it's time to take those lessons and really start to apply those lessons in your life. How can I move forward? How can I cultivate and develop myself in a way that is conducive to where I am headed? And it's really important for you to like release what you need to release. I know that's something that I definitely had to do, especially in regard to communication. I'll be vulnerable. So especially in regard to communicating with others, I know for myself, I definitely was a person who struggled with setting boundaries, and a person who struggled with communicating and asserting myself. And so it's so interesting, because usually the things that we feel like less confident about, other people can look at us and be like, oh, you are the queen of asserting yourself, you are the queen of setting boundaries, but that was just something that I had to overcome, and like really articulating and asserting myself, and not beating around the bush, but being very direct. And on this spiritual journey, I found that it is not popular to be honest, to tell the truth. When you start to tell the truth, people look at you crazy, like, oh, feel so offended or anything like that. And that's something that I had to come to grips with, that when I tell the truth, it's not always going to be taken in maybe a good or bad way. And even just good or bad, like, I'm just like, it doesn't really matter, because it's important to, whatever arises, whatever you feel your spiritual lessons are, it's always important to look at those lessons from an unbiased perspective, not from a emotional standpoint. Because once the emotions get in the way, you are really emotions are just lower nature. And I'm not saying lower nature as like bad, but it's just not coming from the highest perspective. And so I always try to my very best to see things from like that highest perspective, that unbiased point of view, that non-judgmental point of view, because everything is as it is and happened because it happened, and so yeah, so setting boundaries and really asserting myself and my will have definitely been things that I have been on a journey of overcoming. I'm overcoming them, and it's been very beautiful. It's been very challenging, mostly challenging, especially since I myself see myself as a very passive person. Like, I'm like, I don't want to say this, I don't want to do this, because how is the other person gonna feel? And like, for real, how am I gonna feel? It feels icky to say this, it feels icky to do this, it feels icky to put myself in this situation and stuff like that. But in doing so, the beauty in doing so is that it allows you to really truly see your true self, because in being able to assert yourself when it doesn't feel good, or in setting boundaries when it doesn't feel good, you're able to shatter all of those illusions, those characters within you that are playing out, telling you how bad it's going to feel, telling you that you can't do something. So whenever you overcome your fear and get to that other side of those fears, you're really able to look at yourself and be like, oh my goodness, like, this character that was playing out, my ego really thought this, but it really allows you to see that you're so much more than your experiences and your circumstances and your feelings and emotions and all of those things. So yeah, take the time to process your experiences and gain that clarity, gain that understanding, so that you can move forward and so that you can let go of all of the things that are no longer conducive in your life, that are inhibiting you from growing and getting to where you need to be in this lifetime, that inhibit you from learning the lessons that you need to learn. Let go of those things, because the more you hold on to things, whether that's relationships, whether that's ideals or habits or whatever it is, the more that you hold on to them, the further away you are to achieving, certain goals. And I always say that everything is divine aligned. And so it's like, it reminds me of that Tower card in tarot. It's like, no matter what you do, you're like, you're destined to be great. You're destined to experience what you need to experience in this lifetime. So even if you're holding on to something so tightly, like, if you don't let go, source gonna come in and be like, just clear it all out. So it's just easier to really go through that process of letting go on your own. And once you get into the habit of like, okay, let me process, let me analyze, let me take all this in, and let me clear out. It's like cleaning out your closet. People got the spring cleaning, fall cleaning, like, just every season, make it a habit to really take inventory of just everything that's going on within yourself, and outside of yourself, as within, so without. Take inventory of what's going on in your life. Keep the things that have been working and let go of the things that are no longer conducive. So I'm so happy to be on here again, just sharing with you guys, because I had to come to a point where I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm so much bigger than a me, you know? Like, I know what this is. And I was just feeling so many different types of ways. But I realized that I'm so much bigger. You know, I'm so much more. And so I'm so happy to just be sharing with you guys, because I definitely enjoy being able to learn from other people, and I know that some people resonate with my messages, and I'm here to be of service to you guys. And I also want to say that one of the biggest things that was really inhibiting me from sharing is I don't really know what you guys want to know from me. So I have so much knowledge, it's so crazy, because I'm like a sponge, like I said, I got that Gemini moon and Gemini rising, Gemini Venus, Gemini Mars, Gemini, just all up in my charts. I'm constantly absorbing information. um, i've been I've been on a vegan journey for about 6-7 years. I have traveled outside of the US, within the US. um, I have a whole bachelor's degree in public health. um, I have so much information on just relationships and perspective. So if there's anything is want to know from me, especially in regards to health and well-being, I feel like that's my area of expertise. If you want any information on those things, definitely leave a comment on maybe a topic that you want me to talk about, or you can send me a DM if you want some personal information or advice or anything like that, and I'll just be so more than happy to be of service to you. So thank you so much for joining me.